Hello and welcome to this voyage of Boggle Rocket. Today's destination? The distant Lego past. Before we start, a definition we'll need to refer back to. Whimsy. An imaginative quality driven by a sense of childlike wonder rather than strict logic. Core meanings: playfulness, creativity, fun. This video came about because my landlady recently told me she had a couple of her son's old Lego sets in her attic. So I journeyed into a truly Alice in Wonderland style experience in the world's smallest excuse for an attic to retrieve some absolute gems from throughout Lego's golden age. Up front, this is truly going to sound like one of those Reddit posts about finding a Death Star brand new in box in the back of your parents' wardrobe, but believe me, this is real. I first saw a very brightly coloured corner of a box sticking out of a black bin bag, and when I pulled out set 6399 Airport Shuttle, man, something in my head switched on. It awoke the child inside me who used to pore over Lego catalogues and magazines and could only dream of seeing sets like this in person, let alone in such an immaculate box. Look at those primary colours. And that's really what this video is about. I've spent the last few weeks going through big tubs of Lego, sorting them into colours, all for the first time since I did the same with my own collection 5 years ago. And boy, are there some treasures in here. Now, none of them are complete, many pieces lost to the thick shag carpets of time, but believe me, all the important components are here. Starting with this big boy, and it is a big boy in terms of its footprint. Like, how were you even supposed to move this once it was built? I know people will say this is too simple, but that's the Lego identity for me. This is going to split my audience, I'm sure, and there's no wrong way to build Lego, but for me, charming representations of objects or entirely made-up objects altogether is what Lego is all about. Not hyper-realistic models which sit on shelves, albeit ones with impressive construction. I mean, look at this. These are supposed to be burgers. Isn't that just adorable? While building this baggage drop, I opened the storage bin and a classic suitcase fell out. It's so, well, whimsical. Besides, you can't tell me this doesn't make you smile. Sitting down to actually put this particle ionizer together took me back to a childhood I didn't even experience myself, as Mtron is before my time. As an aside, and just to flex my LEGO Master Builder vision, I remember missing one of these antennae in this colour combination from the 6207 A-Wing, from the crossover period of skin tone and smiley faces. Ooh. Yes, she's missing some bits, but that's part of the charm. As with all sets from this era, you really have to look to see which parts have been added in each build step, but I don't mind. This is such simple construction that things aren't often going to be flipped over on 2 axes or built in complex sub-assemblies. Although here you are just left to assume the other printed brick goes on the opposite side in a set which also includes the unprinted version of this piece. And the clutch power, my god! Modern Lego this ain't, in every sense. This is just a regular tile, watch me struggle to pry it off. Next, check out this weird piece. And these. And this whole subassembly, despite being only 3 pieces, which is used in a mad way just to achieve studs on the side. I miss this era of designers working within the constraints of the building system. Nowadays, there's just a bracket for this. No need to come up with an exciting build technique. Oh wow, look! Traditional product photography in the instructions. But, oof, I do not like twisting these antennae on the stud itself. This is exactly the kind of thing I would have done as a kid and accidentally snapped the stalk off and been distraught. I am glad LEGO has moved past this style of play feature. Now, to zoom out a bit, I think LEGO's hands are tied somewhat here. I was talking to a friend recently and wondered aloud what kind of world we live in where LEGO doesn't have spaceships on shelves. They're freaking spaceships! What kid wouldn't want one? This semi-realistic hunk of junk doesn't count, you know exactly the kind I mean. But my friend pointed out that LEGO does do spaceships. Lots of them. A whole theme, in fact. They're just all big and grey. Can't have an in-house theme competing with a 50-year-old franchise still desperately trying to grab the attention of a generation which doesn't seem to care. After all, we wouldn't want to upset the mouse. Look, you've probably caught my drift by now, and I'm being intentionally cynical in places, but I just can't help it. These instructions alone are a masterclass in eye-catching and powerful graphic design. They're so full of charm and whimsy, which goes far beyond nostalgia alone, as I didn't even grow up with this set. Now, you might be thinking, but Boggle, you're cherry-picking themes that aren't designed for children. Of course they're not eye-catching or wacky.
I throw the boxes away anyway.
Well, ignoring the fact that I've only used one 18-plus set for comparison and the rest have been themes specifically aimed at children, let's take something recent like, Dreams, which you'd have a difficult time arguing isn't eye-catching and unique. Dreams is the company's most whimsical theme in years, right? When we're talking about visual identity, even I can admit the villains of this theme are excellent. The black and trans pink comes close to something as striking as Blacktron's black and trans yellow. And I don't want to talk down too much on Dreams, because I agree that some individual designs are really cool. LEGO is barely getting away with the tiger shark tank not being military adjacent. But there's the rub. Looking at the sets across the whole theme, there's no single identity or design philosophy other than lol so random. This is a phenomenon we see a lot these days in things like Fortnite or more recently to my dismay, Magic the Gathering. It's one homogenized mess of different aspects, aesthetics and properties so that whatever you like, there will be something here you enjoy. Unfortunately, if the kind of things you do enjoy are a unique visual style, rich world building or tonal consistency, you're out of luck. So ultimately, something like Dreams swings too far in the opposite direction with such an inconsistent design language that it ends up not really having one altogether. LEGO used to exist between these ends of the scale. Some could argue that, yes, an entire wave of spaceships and vehicles that are all the same colour is a bit overkill, but when they're this striking, maybe you only need one or two, and you can just choose your favourites based on the play features or price point. Alright, not as profitable from a business standpoint, and I imagine a company would rather people buy as many sets as possible rather than pick and choose. But then, let's go back to Dreams. The odds that the same child will want a red and green Ninja Turtles party van looking truck and a big blue rocket roller skating rabbit is just as unlikely. I'll play devil's advocate. My last video was very driven by a desire for more evenly matched heroes versus villains conflicts in LEGO sets, but Mtron has none. Checkmate Boggle Rocket, hand over the password to the channel. Hold on. LEGO City isn't about conflict. Friends seems to be mainly about selling confectionaries to a populace which somehow manages to maintain a uniform skinny body type. Anyway, just view Mtron as a relaxed day-in-the-life theme for spacefaring, building, and resource gathering. No, that's just a mining laser. All in all, this video is really just a simple comparison. I could easily have called it LEGO has lost its colour, what happened to practical LEGO photography, or bring back eye-catching LEGO boxes. After something of a mini dark age in my passion for the brand last year, this has been a much-needed trip down memory lane which reminded me of why I loved LEGO in the first place. A love which has honestly trickled away bit by bit with each giant black box, flat lifeless render, and bland instruction manual. You all know by now that my videos are mainly discussions on the LEGO brand at large, encompassing past and future. While there are points where these two sides meet, they're mainly relegated to one-off special edition style sets or gifts with purchase, or more often than that, shoved into tiny reference stickers in Ninjago. It's unfortunate to say, but I'm fast approaching a mindset where I can maybe begin to accept that LEGO's most whimsical themes are gone, but certainly not forgotten, and that that's okay. There's clearly some internal reason we fans are not privy to, which has indicated a Pirates or Castle Anniversary theme wouldn't sell well. Returning to our definition, a lack of whimsy would mean more reliance on strict logic. And I think it's clear to see as the sea of black boxes slowly grows and even seeps into most other themes too, that there's a clear logic to decisions being made at LEGO these days. Prioritise appealing to as many external fan bases as possible, maximise profits. Whatever the case may be, that doesn't mean that we can't continue to champion the classic stuff. I can't help but boil this all down to the microcosm of where this whole discussion started in my head. That corner of a box which first caught my eye. If that had been a modern LEGO set, my gaze likely would have passed right over it. And I think that says it all. So, if you've enjoyed this voyage of Boggle Rocket, please do like and subscribe as we're inching close to 2,000 subs, which is amazing. And more importantly, tell me your thoughts in the comments. I loved discussing all your favourite LEGO sets after my last video. Until next time, I'll just leave you with a question. Which of these two images fills you with more... what's the word I'm looking for? Ah yes, whimsy.